Hello, everybody. Welcome to Money Mob. I don't remember which episode this is, and it's been a crazy day, so let's not get hung up on those types of things. We've got June in the chat already. Fantastic. Welcome, June. Haven't seen anybody else pop up yet, but we just went live. Sorry we missed last week. Austin is on a hiatus right now. He needed to get out and touch some grass. So your boy Dougie is just taking over. Yes, June is the top fan. That is appreciated. But we've got our boys taking a good, well-deserved break. And we hope Austin is feeling back to being up on the show here shortly. It hasn't stopped him from posting, so you definitely should check him out on X. I'll add that to his X profile. I'll get that added to the description here shortly. But I guess a lot of stuff happened in the market today. Yeah. Really, there's so much that, I mean, you had the big ones today. You had Meta and Microsoft with earnings today. You had Google earlier this week. We also had a couple other companies that a lot of us follow between SoFi and Robinhood also had their earnings today. And so at this point in the evening, you've already heard all the breakdowns. There are people that are better at that than I am, running you through the numbers. You got to take a look at Steve, take a look at Amit, Tanner, and Roy. Obviously do a great job at that as well. So just make sure to take a look at their analysis. I'm here for the yucks, maybe a drink or two, and to have a good conversation with CEEJ about whatever hits our fancy today. So just waiting on him to join. But until then, let's just take a look at how old Dougie has been doing in the markets lately. We all have a lot of high beta stuff, so nobody has had a really fun time probably lately. My largest positions: Palantir, Venture Global, NEXT, Nvidia, have all been meh. They haven't been wrecked like something like Rocket Lab has, although Palantir is still down probably 50% from its all-time highs. So that's been tough to watch. Amazon can't seem to get its act together. Well, I should say, June, we can go over the stock draft. I should say Amazon, look, they're executing wonderfully. So when I say they can't get their act together, I mean the stock can't get its act together. That's all we're talking about. The company's doing an amazing job. By the way, probably going to be a little bit of criticism of SoFi as well, but we need to understand this is a company that is just absolutely had every single possible wrench thrown in the way. Every time they make a plan, it seems like the headwinds change to work exactly opposite of what they needed to do, and yet they still post beats every single quarter. I understand there's some criticism of the company and so on and so forth, but at some point you do have to give credit to a management team of just being able to constantly pivot, stay light on their feet, and keep moving. So with that said, we actually have a guest to add, the wonderful, amazing, and intelligent CEEJ being added to the Money Mob. How you doing, C?
Yo, 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 yo.
Yo, he's
Hey,
got
what's
the
going on, everybody?
shades.
I had to have the shades, man. I can't come on without the shades. So,
No, you're good, bro. How you been?
so where's our boy Austin? Out there. Hey, man, life has been good. Life has been great. Got a little one in the
Yes. That so congrats on that. How old now? Can she spell anything yet?
Hey, I appreciate it. She's a
Siege is
month and four
lagging a little bit
days.
on my screen.
Trump account rolling, so she gonna be
Mm.
spelling something sooner or later, like cha-ching.
All right, way to go. Yeah, get that Trump account going, man. That is a game changer that it's unfortunately it's going to take like a whole
They
generation
say you don't know
to
what
play
sleep
out.
is until you yeah.
Yeah, Siege's video is freezing. Um try turning down your you don't have to be at 720, but
It is.
turn it down to 480 or something.
Hold.
I can hear the background for Siege, so I know he's still connected, but
Let's dumb it down a little bit.
yeah. But we got Jackson in the chat. We got Jarrett. Venom is back. Like I said, we got Junie here. Leclerc 16. What's up? That's a new. Apparently, Siege is, I don't know, at the airport or something. It sounds like he's got jets taking off. Venom's in the house. Jackson's here. Jarrett's here.
I'm on my terrace and
Okay. Melanie's here. Melanie, how you doing? We got Hollis. He's listening while watching a movie. What movie are you watching, Hollis? I want to know how you watch a movie and listen to like earnings calls at the same time. To be fair, I can fall asleep to both. Supergirl. Okay, dude. Why? Why would you put yourself through that torture? And I don't mean watching this dinky show. I mean, why would you make yourself watch Supergirl? I mean, you might as well watch High School Musical 2, 3, or 4. Oh, you're watching with your mom. Okay. I don't know if that's better. I got to be honest. Okay. You're going to pull up the stock draft. Okay. All right. Okay. Everybody wants to hear the stock draft. Okay. Looks like we lost Siege for a minute. Hopefully he'll reconnect here in a second. But I will pull up the stock draft. I will pull up the stock draft. By the way, mad shout out to our boy Hollis for this. It's really, really cool that he was able to put this together. As I am rapidly closing tabs all over my computer. As I have now found the stock draft and lost the StreamYard. There it is. Okay, I'm going to move that to its own tab. So I'm definitely not the person who normally runs this thing, and y'all can tell. Mercy rule in effect, bro. I mean, look, we picked when we picked. There's no getting around what has happened in the world since we picked. So the was, let's see, let's find a good. Okay, we'll just go straight to the leaderboard here. Okay, all right. This seems wrong because all these numbers are green. I haven't looked at this in a minute. Hollis, I may have to ask you about this, bro. June, it was not a shorting competition. All right. Let's refresh prices here. Because this has Jackson being in the lead right now. Oh, well, okay, to be fair, you were good on Zeta and Qualcomm. Jackson. So, I mean, it might hurt, but okay, I believe these numbers now. Let's see. And then LAC has SoFi. Okay, these numbers are not current. Hollis, why are these numbers not current, bro? Okay. Let me leave the AI and go to the Google Sheets. That may be more updated. Refresh it in the top corner. Refresh prices. Yeah, I clicked on that, Jane. And we know this is wrong because I don't know what the price of anything is right now, but I know the price of SoFi is not 1862. So everybody stand by. Now CEEJ is back. There he is. He's on the terrace right now. He's enjoying the evening. Bro, how is the weather in Miami right now? How's the weather in South
Florida
humid.
Right now? It's pretty humid, but we got a beautiful full. Weather is lovely.
I got to tell you, Houston weather
humid,
has been
just moved into a new place, so trying to take advantage of the space that I have out here.
Okay. I got to tell you, Houston weather has been special. Yeah, you're still lagging a bit. You're still lagging a bit, but we do hear you.
Let me see if I can. Okay. Maybe if I do this. You know, we were talking crap about WhatsApp earlier, and WhatsApp almost crashed my computer just a minute ago. So perhaps that has something to do with it.
Oh shit! Look who showed up in the chat.
Now let's go low latency here.
Look who showed up in the chat.
All right, how's that? Seems a little bit better.
Your audio is good, bro. I can't speak to the video, but the audio is functional.
Okay, good to go. As long as we can hear me.
All right.
I got y'all my shades on. Y'all don't need to see me. I can see y'all.
If stuff is off. Okay, so everybody want to take a look.
So how's everybody's year to date doing? That's
oof, bro. Why you got to do me like that, bro?
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I think that's one of the important parts of all of us coming together is to be able to share the camaraderie and what we have going or not going.
Oof, what just crushed me today? I didn't see this number earlier. Oof, your boy's down 50K today. Which look, you can handle being down 50K in a day, which
You
is like
can.
1.2%, right? Whatever. But it's like, bro, just can we stop with the 1% down days? Like give me a day back. And the crazy thing is I was up with like an hour left to go in the market. I was totally green. And then we ended up like minus big. I don't even know what happened because I was started doing other stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's funny
Was it
though
just
because
meta?
when
Was it just meta that just like tanked everybody?
I think the whole market is just tanking everybody. It's taking a it's taking an easy breather, letting everybody know maybe we shouldn't be adding all of the time.
Well, we're trying to tell you you can't just continue to buy the dip.
No, no, you can't really continue to buy on the upswing either, though. Um, it seems strategy is needed more now than it has in the past, and we've been spoiled. If you've been in the markets in the last 5 years, like we've been spoiled so much, and I've been spoiled. I haven't really had experience in the markets outside of euphoric run-ups and just parabolic numbers that happen months over month. But um, I read a lot and I look at historical facts, and uh, I think that some of those old school antics that everybody looks down upon are probably some of the wisdom that we should take into our practice at the moment, especially when there's a lot of uncertainty and everybody just is hungry and so used to just adding on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Well, the market is having to deal with the fact right now that there used to be this meme when you and I were growing up, the revolution will not be televised.
Right.
Right. Well, it's the AI data center build out will not be happening. Right. I mean, we had a lot uh, of expectation that there was going to be a lot of technical work being done to build out the AI uh, infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure that all this AI stuff was going to roll on. But it turns out that Team Blue and popular sentiment, probably supported by China, has effectively turned sentiment against data center construction, gotten it banned in all kinds of places, gotten it stopped. So why are we continuing to commit capex to projects that are not going to get built? And you know what that
Yeah.
ultimately means is the bottleneck that a lot of this semi and photonics and all this other trade is based on. That bottleneck's not really going to exist because the data centers aren't going to get built, or they're going to get built over a much longer timeline. So there's not going to
Hmm.
be this crazy demand for all these products that are just unobtainium.
Right. Right. Not only that, but it seems to where the data centers are so massive to where nothing really would kind of stand in their way. But you're finding that the small people are also standing in its way, even if the small people don't understand, right? And I'm not saying that the small people just need to be run over, but you're
They
starting to
definitely don't understand.
right. I mean, and I totally agree with that. But you're finding that uh, small voices are being corralled, and even though those small voices might not be one of the issues is why these data centers aren't getting um, the procurement that they should need and everybody thought we're going to get, it's filling in some of those voids of people not understanding why the data centers aren't getting built in the first place. And that's the other people. That's us, the investors that are like, well, why isn't it happening? What's going on? And you start to
Yeah.
hear some of these sidebar conversations where you're like, man, is it really the pushback? Are data centers bad? You start having some of these things that pull at your heartstrings a little bit. Like, man, maybe it is gonna mess up the power for everybody in the
Well,
neighborhood, or
I
maybe
never
the
understood though where the Facebook posts of, it's like a picture of farmland and it's no data center is worth this. And I'm like, why do we think that that's the binary choice here? Like,
right.
there's other places to put a data center than on a farm.
Yeah,
It's more
oddly
like you
so.
can put it in places that people aren't using the land. There's plenty of land.
Plenty of land out there, and there's plenty of shitty land out there. A lot of people have land
Right.
out there too that is just non-usable. It's non-farmable, right? Like you can't have a regenerative farming process or
Right. Or it
practice
would need
out there.
crazy like irrigation to make it arable, right?
Right.
So, oh, well, we can just run a power line out there and a single water line just so they can fill their tank. And then, it's closed loop. So it's not like they're constantly using water. This is not, they're not, this isn't fracking, y'all. This is the cleanest possible business available.
Right.
Because I mean, so what are your alternatives if you want to build, if you want to bring big industry into a locale that's going to bring, any number of jobs, certainly tax revenue, things like that, right? Well, you want to build a refinery, you want to build a chemical plant, you want to build an auto plant. Do you have any idea the amount of heavy trucks, heavy equipment that are going to be rolling on your roads? Like you're going to have to close
Right.
down all
It's
your
pros and
roads
cons.
for years to improve them, just so that the heavy trucks driving
Yep.
driving chemicals and raw materials in and out of that plant. A data
Mm.
center is like, once it's built, it's just electricity, bro. Like,
It's just
you're good.
electricity, and it might have other things that can benefit off of it that even we haven't even factories, they find ways to utilize waste or you know heat or energy or carbon or all of these other aspects. There might be some stuff that comes out of data centers that drastically improves production levels or processes, um, management, roads, infrastructures, all of the things that have kind of the pushback now. You might see a lot of funding that goes into those things to where it makes it actually viable and people don't have to lobby and fight and have mafias that control who gets what construction bid, and how long road maintenance gets and takes. 'Cause we see that all the time, right? Like construction companies fixing roads for years. I know I do here in Miami. We have a serious problem over here, and some of the same shitty roads are the same shitty roads. But when you see somebody build a condo and they get 50 billion out of it or whatever, hey, those roads around that entire place, like, they're nice. Those city parks that used to be shitty that are anywhere within the 2 mile radius of that now have funding, and now they have water parks and they have new slides and new swings, and they're full of kids now. Um, so I don't know, man. It's a bunch of people. Everybody wants to complain. I'm not gonna knock the people that do complain, but I mean, it's just like you said, just a bunch of Facebook bullshit going on, a bunch of posts on uh, trolling the trolls, and then the people trolling the tolls.
Yeah.
Nobody's happy with anything, and
Well,
everybody has a right and an ability to complain about something because there's a myriad of things that are just in lieu right now that seem shitty.
yeah. Well, Team Blue had to do it because the worst thing that could possibly happen
Jesus,
is for Team
man.
Red to have a successful AI build out during their 4 years. And then go on to win another cycle. And it was like, hey, our plan worked. Like
Yeah, you,
that had to be stopped at all costs.
yeah, man. I'll tell you what. I try to stay away from siding with one political party versus the other, but I don't understand why there's so many sticks being thrown in the bicycle spokes of what could be just for the sake of damaging the other party. That seems to me a little hostile and uh, definitely confusing for anybody who calls themselves a voter, right?
Yeah. Can't let the other team get a W,
And
because that would be good. That would be good for the American people, because you might lose.
I don't get it. I really don't. And I've done international relations and geopolitical stuff, and I just look at it and I'm like, it's it's like a civil war light uh, around Congress. It's kind of like, what the hell is really going on, and why is there so many people just opposing so many things just because? I really don't see the pros and cons uh, of the opposition just to kind of shit on the other guy. That's what it really seems like. It's just like, yo,
That is what it is. It's just
yeah,
make sure the other team doesn't get a W,
it's a
and the
smear.
American people do not get a W
Right,
from the other team.
right. I mean, I don't think
Wild
that
waves.
many people would have a problem. Honestly, I don't think that many people would have a problem with changing jerseys if everybody was winning. Right? Just change the jersey for the season. You got one, two
Yeah.
seasons, 3 seasons. Okay, your quarterback's going to go somewhere the third or fourth year. He's going to be too expensive. He's won too many trophies. All right, you're going to have to put a new jersey on. So, um, I don't know, man. But I mean, it is the times, right? Like media and social media platforms are purveyors of this style of smearing, and it's so easy to troll, and it's hilarious at the same time. You get great bits out of it. You get great comedy. You get great drinking conversations, and
Yeah. I mean, most of it's
campfire
rage bait, but
camaraderie. It's rage bait for sure. That's all it
when
is.
when I see the mayor of a pretty far slash small suburb of Houston, who's also like 30 years old, so I have no idea what they're doing as a mayor. Like, what's wrong with you people? You elected a child.
Right.
Um, bragging that he got multiple data center projects canceled. And he's on Team Red, by the way. Like, what are we doing? Like, what has happened? How have we lost the plot so completely that we can't even say, oh yeah, this is an amazing new opportunity for people up and down the economic spectrum to buy in and get this, uh you know the benefit from all this capital expenditure that these hyperscalers, who have just sucked all the money out of the economy for the last decade and a half,
No
they're going to
doubt.
have to start spending money on Caterpillar, on Mundy Corporation, on, uh, you know, they're going to have to start paying welders and electricians. They're going to have to start paying real workers, who make real wages, uh, to
Right.
build all these
Right.
projects. And
Right.
now all of a sudden, oh no, we can't have that. Lord knows we can't have that.
Right.
So we end up saying that, well, there's this false bottleneck out there now with all this, in memory and and chips, and so we're paying, we're saying that we're paying, an 80% margin on memory, and I'm like, that means that's just money going to cash to the fat cat's pockets. It means only 20%,
Right.
20 cents on the dollar that Google is spending on their capex is actually acquiring memory. 80% of that is going to a fat cat pocket.
Yeah.
Or investors, however you want to say. Yeah, so if I own Micron, I get a tiny piece of that as well.
Yeah, but I mean that too is kind of politic and lobbying to try and build up what we have here in country, so that we're not so reliant on a lot of things. And I think that from my perspective is that capital capital has a destination, and it seems that a lot of people are asking like, where is the money going? But the real question might be better understood if it's where is the capital allowed to go, right? Like you
Fair
said, like
question. Yeah.
like
What can you even get permitted for right now?
right. So I mean, you got insurance companies, you got mutual funds, you got sovereign wealth, uh, insurance companies and banks. I mean, it's it's all operated under a mandate, right? Like it's not just you're just people are just stuffing a bunch of money in a pillowcase and then running out the door with it, or looking at places where like, oh, I'm allowed to do this. No, there's rules to the game a little bit, a large bit, and there might be some that go out the back door for sure, but um, you got a lower risk that's going to affect the pension. I mean, you got hundreds of billions of bucks that can move regardless if Apple's a great company or not. Um, so I think that portfolio constraints are more than just opinions these days, where uh, there are actual avenues that the bread has to go before real money can be made and put back on the table. And I think that that's something that we're seeing right now. We saw so much silly money going around when, after COVID, and the Democrats were just throwing cash out there, which was great, right? I mean, we all benefited from it. Anybody who's been in the markets is just seeing it seems like, why not get into the market? You're gonna double, triple your money. I mean, it's been a great hustle, right? Like you could just get some money out, throw it into the market. I mean, you almost really didn't have to pick great companies. You could have picked anything that was just
Yeah, you
starting
could have
up that
made
had
money and
AI
see through
behind
that
it.
AI. Like, I mean,
Yeah, no doubt. Um, so I like to think that we have smart investors out there, and I mean, I see a lot of us in the chat. I see us in a Mitch chat. Other guys chats that are out there too, that kind of like all have some of us uh, rotating in and out of all of these. And I know that we're smart, and I see a lot of the other people that I have no idea who they are, and they're intelligent as well. But when going on to pay attention to understanding what the narrative should be versus what it could be, um, and that affects like liquidity and capital to me. And so those are two areas that I look at and I try and understand a little bit differently. Like where where can it go? How can it go? And then how can that be a beneficial thing? Or I like the bull case and the bear case. They both explain a lot. But a lot of these companies too have just straight wild valuations. I don't get how a lot of the valuations are out there, and I'm not mad because I'm benefiting off of quite a few companies that have just valuations that are uh, don't fit the traditional finance structure of how they got to where they are. So um, it's an interesting conundrum that everybody seems to be stuck in, and not really trying to understand it. I really think that that's one of the things, is that a lot of us are out there not trying to understand it. We're trying to keep up with what's going on because it's moving so fast. It seems like everything's moving so fast.
yeah,
Just two,
algorithmic
3 weeks
trading
ago,
has made
right,
things happen in 5 minutes that used to take 3 days.
right, right. I mean, how are you going to be a stock worth $100 and then trade at $70? Like, because the buyers disappear. So they're chasing something else that everybody else is chasing. It really, it really is like the wild west right now, and you have somebody out there selling a bunch of oil, or whatever kind of doodads, and whatever they pull up with their wagon, and everybody's just running from wagon to wagon. It seems like that. Um, And I get it, right? You gotta go where the momentum is, and what is getting the attention. And I'll say it all here, like it's it's important to be integrated into what's going on in the community. It's exciting. Like it produces a level of involvement that past markets haven't seen, and that's why the retail investor is so important right now, is because there's stuff to get excited about on the day to day versus just what the hell's in the news, or
Yeah,
what new Netflix series is out, or whatever Tom, Dick, and Jerry are talking about. Like there's a lot of stuff that's out there, and if you pay attention, or like I said, you don't have to pick a great company. You just pay attention to what's the topic, and you're gonna do okay in it. You're gonna see 15, 20, maybe 46%. I mean, some things definitely have that GMC or GameStop and AMC kind of all over it. Where we're seeing those things pop up, and they shouldn't. And a lot of our companies are popping, and they necessarily shouldn't either. So,
yeah.
um,
I want to take a second and address this comment from Hollis here. It's really good. It's been a 4-year bull market. It's a lot easier to be smart in those conditions than to navigate the volatility now and rotate. And
right,
one thing I'll say for that, Hollis, is we're retail investors. They can't make us sell.
true.
Um, so, one of the ways that you can get 100 baggers is just never sell whatever you have. Um, if you are if you've got to have this money right now, you can make moves. You can try to navigate the volatility. If you like the companies you have and they're continuing to execute, Dougie is not your financial provider. This is not financial advice, but I'm just telling you, it's okay to not sell.
Yeah,
If the things you're seeing in your companies and the CEOs that you've hired to run your shares, like if the whole market is dumping, that's not the fault of the CEO of the company that you hired,
mm,
right? Because
true.
that's what you do when you buy a share. You hire that CEO.
Yes. That's how I try to think about it, or
So
I try to think that I'm in the room and understanding of why they're making their moves. Like I like this individual because they have been part of this process, and this process, and I've seen the wealth, or I know where they've been, where they come from, and how they created an infrastructure there, or they managed something. So I like to invest in the people that are controlling the company that I'm investing, at least to a small degree. So I do agree with that. Like you said, you don't have to sell your shares at all. And if I've never sold a share, I would have drastically more than I do now. And I'm doing great right now. I'm still doing good even with all of this red that's around.
yeah,
Um,
like I don't like being red, folks. Like don't get me wrong. Like it's annoying, and you've heard me ranting, and like I understand there's some structural problems that we have encountered that are really going to be some headwinds that this market has to figure out. But I've upscaled my portfolio. Like I've bought some of the best companies. I'm getting them at crazy discounts to what they were just a few months ago. So now I get to ride back up before anyone starts warning that we're at all-time highs on those companies now.
right.
I get 100% upside. I get double my money before I have to hear any analyst warn me that we're at all-time highs.
Yes. I truly feel that. I like. Shout out to my man Midwest over there. I hope you got some britches on tonight, my dude. um, you know, the alpha is important. Shout out to Austin. Austin finds alpha out there. Like that's what it's really all about. I really do think that, like, if you find the alpha and you find something that's compelling enough for you to shell your bucks into and to hold it, and you follow it, you should also be able to find a bear case, right? And know when it's time to pause on the buying and let it do its little thing and retrace and come back to a valuation to where you want to put some more into it, or to win, you know, the CEO or CFO figures something out and they get things rolling again, and then you can put your money back into it. I think that those are the type of things that make retail investors uh, important, because narratives create volatility, and who controls the narrative? Largely, it's not the companies anymore. Retail has become so involved that we are kind of a part of the company, right? Like we hear
We're
more
certainly on the
from.
team, right? Or we're fans of the team,
Right,
right? We're
right,
out there. I'm wearing my Palantir merch. I've got, I'm not lying, bro. I got my Palantir swag game down. Like I've got
right.
notifications when Eliano posts a new drop. Like I am on that. Is it expensive stuff? Yes. It's also very high quality though. We'll say that.
No doubt.
Their swag is
I will
super high quality.
I will say this too. I have put some old Palantir stuff that I've acquired throughout, the last decade on eBay, and I have been able to almost buy a share of Palantir for everything that I sell on eBay. And I
Oh,
mean, I
dude, I
didn't pay
hadn't thought
anything
of
for
that.
this for this stuff, bro. I'm like, you know what? I would gladly trade this T-shirt that doesn't really fit the way that I want, for a share of Palantir. Give me $140 for this T-shirt, please. Oh, you want this pen? You want this chess set that I got? Give me $500 for it. I'm gonna go take that money and straight just throw it right back into Palantir. Um, so, you know, us retail investors hear more from the CEOs than uh, most, probably many of the workers do. Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of a funny thing where we interact a lot without having to interact with the CEO, but like we have a constant feed of what's going on with them. I mean, it's better than a Twitter feed. It's live and direct. We got Amit over there talking with all of these guys. You got Matt Money and Vince over there talking with Sir Peter Beck. I mean, that's pretty impressive to me, especially seeing that like nobody's really. Well, Matt's been in the game for a minute, right? Like Matt's been in the game for a long while, and I really respect his platform and how he handles and separates himself from a lot of the crowds that are out there. But you still get that constant, which is impressive. And so for the retail investors, narratives, creating volatility, they change overnight. And we got Twitter fingers and all of that stuff. So we're right there in the fronts of, getting the data as soon as it happens. Um, I mean, Cactus Jack. Look at Cactus Jack. My man is out there better than the damn terminals,
Hustling, hustling. Yeah.
and he's friendly. He's like a friendly dude. Like he doesn't really charge anything. He just pops out once a week, and he's like, hey, if you want to donate, donate. I mean, he's got 15,000 people on there following him. Why not? No, I don't know. I don't know a lot of people that really get to dabble with the Bloomberg terminal, right? I get to mess around with it during the spring and fall semesters through my university, because I try to work with some of the finance team and just understand. And I'll go to some of the meetings and listen to how they do things, where I get to learn how like a little hedge fund like actually works versus how retail works, and how um, people really do have to worry about tickers all damn day long. And it's impressive to see the amount of data that we as retail community investors are able to share with each other at the drop of a dime. And I think that that's impressive because it shows discipline. It shows uh, identity, right? These companies are creating identity, and we're not necessarily branded. I mean, some of us are branded, but um, we have identity with some of these companies, and if you have an identity with some of these companies, you can kind of tell what type of DD you're into a lot of the time. because some of these niche companies don't really have an aspect where everybody knows what the hell they do at the moment. Like Palantir, if you're into Palantir and you understand Palantir, you know you're kind of like an Alex Karp. You're kind of a philosopher of such because you understand ontology, epistemology. You know you know why you know what you know, or you just watch a Mitt and you get on what he's on, and you're kind of good to go. My man does really well in the things that he jumps into. So it's cool to see how things go, but in times like this, you might want to you might want to hold on to your pocketbook a little bit and be like, damn, let me not just invest into what everybody else is investing in. Let me understand why there's a drawdown in certain things where in the past, um, g- government hasn't even really been looked at. It's kind of been like sidebar noise. This is shit that you don't really pay attention to because everything's been running up no matter what the government has really been saying. And now you're seeing that increasingly governments are major customers in a lot of these areas, which are boosting up a lot of these companies. And 4 years ago, you would have people being like, "Oh, screw that company. They're the government's investing in them." But now you're like, "Oh wow, it's a powerhouse now." And the government coming over here and investing in these things like quantum energy. I mean, critical minerals. I have a lot of individuals that I'm very keen of that are, pro green movements and stuff, and so mining is a big issue for them. And I get to listen and hear all of the different sides, but I understand also like how critical a lot of these things are. So um, really interesting to see the evolution of the retail investor in 2026, especially right now where things are kind of maybe not the prettiest for a lot of people, because a lot of people have been also investing into the markets as of recent. They haven't really been in. It's been popular. They've jumped in. They've maybe gone to like some of these meetups or something like that, and then they've really gotten, the fever and felt fervent and investing in smart companies. But now the smart companies are also seeing a drawdown, so they're seeing like the pressure of like, damn, I thought everything was supposed to be good and go up and go up. Um, so understanding the entire story, like the 360 versus just what's in front of me, this 20 degrees or this 30 degrees, whatever my sight line has for me. Like take the blinders off and spin around a little bit and look what's behind you and look what's in front of you, because the narratives explain themselves and it's largely mandated. So um, like you're talking about, man, the premiums are good, bro. Just buy good companies and hold on to them for a little bit. You get your capital. You don't have to really worry about having a lot of bucks to shell in the market if you've got good
Oh,
companies and you
I
held them for a
lowered my
while.
cost basis today on my Rocket Lab
Yeah,
stuff,
man.
bro. Like I had like 100% wins on my because I okay, so I normally believe in closing out covered calls or cash secured puts when you reach 60% win. Like especially if you do it early in the contract. Like why wait a long time for a chance at another 40% when you might not even get
True.
the 60 you're already at? So
True.
just,
True.
get that and you can roll again, you can roll out and down, or you can roll out and up, or you can roll in and down and try to, get more. If the stock went down, you can roll in and down, right?
Yup.
And
Yup.
get more delta at a lower strike price. So you can get more money. So I was just rolling this week, um, just collecting premium all over
Oh,
the place, all
oh
over the place.
yeah, man.
I probably collected like 30 grand in, and uh, and okay, like I'm not TJ the Wheel Deal. Okay. So when I say I collected 30 grand, that's a lot of money for me. Okay. That's like
Hell yeah.
my premium when I sell cover calls, my premium, that's my spending money because I'm retired now. Okay. So
Right.
If
Right.
I haven't gone over
Congrats,
everything
by
with
the way.
y'all,
Yeah.
yeah, if I haven't gone over everything with y'all, like my dividends pay all my household income stuff, and then my cover calls pay for all the fun stuff I want to do. So
I love
when I
that.
bought a whole bunch of LSU football tickets for my boy Austin to come to, um, yeah, oh, yo, we're gonna have fun though. November. There was let me rewind. Yes. Austin said, should we have a little Houston meetup, mini meetup? Yes, we should. Austin's coming to town. I think it's November 14th. Is that right?
Okay.
Austin's coming to town November 14th, and that's I think the Friday, and then Saturday we're going to the LSU football game, and Arthur's coming, and I got some other like friends whose kids are athletes at LSU are also gonna sit with us. So I got a whole bunch of tickets, and yeah, but like, so I had to sell cover calls for the money to buy those tickets, and that's just the life I'm living now. It's very different. It's like I'm not collecting a paycheck. I got to find a way to
Right.
get my assets to make me money.
But
Jared, I do have the laundromat, and it is a loss leader right now. Yes,
I
casually
see that.
doxing ourselves. Austin. So little known fact. So Austin's coming to the football game, but Austin, little known fact. Tiger Stadium on a Friday night in or not a Friday, on a Saturday night, Tiger Stadium itself becomes like the fourth largest city in Louisiana.
Oh, that's
Just the
crazy.
population of the stadium.
You know,
So yeah, we're doxing ourselves, bro. But like, there's a whole city there inside the stadium.
I will say, my brother's from Little Rock, Arkansas. So shout out to all the Razorback fans out there, Suey. But one of the best NCAA games that I've ever been to, and I've been to some fire games, right? I've been to the UCLA, USC out there in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl many a times, but LSU plays the Razorbacks for the Golden Boot Trophy,
Yep.
and they either play in LSU or at the stadium in Little Rock, Arkansas, at the War Memorial. And that game right there is so intense. I mean, when you think about college stadiums and the sound, you always hear like, oh, it's so from the Alex. And I've been, blessed to be able to see that in person. So, you know, I'm a big fan of what LSU does, especially
That
through their
that is a 24 karat gold trophy.
oh yeah, the Golden Boot, baby. I mean, it's big deal. Like if I wanted to go to a NCAA game, I'm going to the Golden Boot game. Plus the fans are great, man. Like the regalia is awesome. I mean, we're talking about we got Dougie on. Dougie's the regalia master over here. I don't care what anybody says. Your outfit. Sorry about that.
Lambo win.
Ferraris and Lambos racing down the street. Sorry about that, guys. But Dougie's regalia is amazing, and that's the type of energy that I appreciate from our little group and our consortium of collective ideas and what have us.
Yeah. So Matt Money driving by. So I do have a couple tickets left if somebody wants to join. I do have like I think two more ticks left that aren't spoken for. I bought a whole row. So
Oh
and
shoot!
it's the LSU Texas UT Austin game. So we're bringing Austin against UT Austin.
Austin against Austin. Austin versus Austin. That's great right there. Now
Ray and Michelle came with us to the Florida game last year. That was their
oh,
first college football game.
that's awesome. Oh man, I was loving seeing their pictures of them out there in the Alps. That was beautiful.
Oh yeah, they're living their best life right now, bro. Like,
Yeah, I'm loving that for them. There's, you know what? Those two are such good people. I had so much fun with them out here in Miami, just kicking it, being able to sit back and then lounge on the couch and just laugh and just kind of introduce and interact with everybody. June was out there, Maddie was out there. I mean, there was a lot of us that were out there, so it was a really good time when everybody was out here in Miami. Looking forward to the next meetup out there as well. But Houston isn't nothing but a hop and a skip away too, and I have a quite a few people out there in Houston, so I'll be looking
bro,
forward
we got
to.
we got like the gang going out here. Oh, and Tess is coming back
Right,
this
right,
fall. So
good.
yeah, like we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a great time.
Mm, hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, man, it's good to see. It's good to see what we all bring to the table, because you never really want to be around everybody who's on the same page, right? If you're on the same
Yeah.
page, you're stuck in the same chapter. So I'm glad to see that we have a lot of people that are into completely different things. Their areas of expertise are in different things. Their experiences are uh, very unique in their own aspects, and and then how our origin story kind of came just from randomly in a chat of a guy who was, you know, sitting next to a bunch of bricks, talking about companies that people had no idea about and were saying we're going to zero, and then you find that there's a lot of prosperity and profitability that can have from a lot of this, just common interaction, right? Smart, smart statements. I really enjoyed everybody who went out to Qubits. The conversation there was captivating. I mean, nobody was really talking small talk much. It
No.
was all very much worthwhile to listen to what everybody had to say, even if it was small talk. It wasn't just small talk that was something that you brush off to the side. It was something that kind of like stayed with me. I mean, I remember some of even the small conversations. I'm just like, oh wow, this is this is great. What was I eating at that time? A little chocolate cake or a little tiny hors d'oeuvre that they were selling, or or some of those prime ribs that they had. So um, a lot can happen from just a little bit. And like you said, yo, you know what, Dougie? We need to capitalize on what you said earlier. You don't have to sell. You don't
They
have to
can't
sell.
they
Just
can't make me sell.
they
They
can't
can't
make you
make me
sell.
sell.
You know, um,
The
I'm
only people
not
that can make me
leaving.
sell is, my mortgage company. But
Right, a little squeeze, a little pressure every now and then. Is good for you too. It checks your blood pressure, right? It makes sure that like you are actually like sitting down there and doing the exercises and whatnot. But I do, man. I really I hear a lot of people talk about taking some off of the top, which is good. Okay, take some off of the top. But if you're somebody like me who doesn't necessarily have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 shares of a company that's run up, and you've had like a humble 3 or 4 thousand shares, but it's run up a few 100% for you, um, you don't really have to sell that either. I can create capital like you were talking about earlier from just making smart decisions with cover calls and using that premium to give me capital to add to it, or to venture off into something else and become more diversified. I don't have to sell to be diversified. I have to buy good things and not sell to create an avenue for me to understand more, because I think that that's the big thing that we're missing as retail investors, is understanding that there are other avenues and you don't have to be a part of everything, right? I think that that's one thing that I see a lot of people getting stressed out and overwhelmed with
that's
is
that's me, bro. Like I find something I'm interested in and I throw money at it. And 2 years later, I'm like, man, why was I just not consolidated? Right?
right,
Consolidated makes you rich. Diversification keeps you rich. But
right,
um, yeah,
right. But I,
black,
I
yes.
I too, I have a gang of I have a gang of stuff, but I have some that I barely have anything in the stock at all. You know, I mean, I have like 30 shares of just one company that I was interested in, or 100
I know,
shares here.
right? I mean, I've got that dust in my account everywhere. Like, and I feel bad now because it's like, man, why am I not disciplined like our boy Austin and just have like 6 stocks?
Right. But
Like,
it's not, that's not
why am I not like that? I don't know. I'm just like, I get in too many rabbit holes. I'm like, oh, this is a good company. Oh, this is a good company. Oh, this is an interesting tech. Or, and it's like,
true.
you didn't put enough money into it to make enough money anyway.
Yeah.
And all you did is just you diversified yourself out of making big gains.
Oh man, you know, like there was a company that just popped just this last 2 days. I mean, it's been up like 400% over the last DFNS. Like I found like some interesting stuff in them probably like 6, 7, 8 months ago, and you know, I mean, it was pennies. So I grabbed me a thousand of them, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let this sit here. Like it's interesting. It was enough to hold, and you know, maybe I can play around with some covered calls or like some options, not necessarily covered calls, where I can play with some different options that I haven't really played with in the past. And I can learn something that's not going to cost me a whole lot and that, you know, may get some bump. And then the last 2 days, it just ran like 400%. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this as some serendipity. And I got lucky. And I'm just going to take that and roll it into something that, like you're talking about, I should be
Bro,
more.
you made 109% today.
Oh, bro, man. I mean, and then yesterday it went up like
Oh, it's
yesterday.
up a
I mean,
thousand
within the
percent
last,
in a week, bro.
yeah, bro. I mean, I was like, you know what? I kept 100 yesterday, and then today it ran back up, and I was like, you know what? I'm give it to me. That's a gimme. That's a freebie
CEEJ,
right there.
why are you not sharing this with your bros, bro? Like why am I hearing about this after it's up 1,000%?
Oh, I did mention it. I did mention this. I know that I mentioned it in the Entangled group. I definitely had it in the
Oh
Entangled
man,
group.
we have like too many messages in that group. Like I
Yeah,
can't
we
follow.
do. We do.
I
But
love everybody there. It's just it's gotten too busy. I can't follow it all the time.
it's busy, and that's another thing too. Is I don't want to be a spokesman for certain companies. You know, like I'm only interested in, and I'm learning in a certain angle. So for me, I'm kind of uh,
Okay,
I forget
so year to
I forget who
date,
the guy was, but I'm paying my tuition, like catching a certain angle and like learning. This is what I like about this company, even if it's not going to be profitable or something that I'm going to stay in. I've learned this
so,
aspect.
so everybody,
Why it's
if I zoom out year to date, this is what my Ocean Power Technologies investment feels like lately.
important.
But yeah, but man, you have caught lightning in a bottle here. Great job. That's amazing. So I did want to run down just a couple of
Yeah,
things that happened
and
today. I did,
Austin and his 7 stocks.
yeah. Austin is 7 stocks, and like, and he showed me. He posted them somewhere today. Austin, are you around? Do you mind if I post that? I think you got. Um, it was in one of our groups. You posted your donut.
Oh yeah, that was in the
If
stock
you don't
chat.
mind, I'll post it just as like this is an ideal way to have yourselves invested, folks. Like and again and know what you own. Oh, it was might have been a stock draft. Okay. Yep. Yep. There it is. So yeah, I'm gonna let Austin. I'll let him say. Yeah, he posts stuff on X, but I just want to make sure that he's okay with it before I post it. Because normally he drives and he would post his shit, which is fine. Okay, he's on his X. All right. All right. Yeah, I just didn't want to do it without my boy's permission.
Hey, I like that. Get the cosign.
Because I mean, your guy is enjoying his drinks tonight and didn't want to like get anybody in trouble. Look at that. That's lovely.
Kiki's on the river. You know, if you guys want to come down to Miami and do some Miami shit, we should all go get rowdy over there. It's
Oh, dude,
It's one of those
the last
places.
time, dude, I just had fun when you, me, and Tess went out. That was a
Dude, we
great
had a
night.
blast. Yeah, we had a blast. See,
So, but
see,
but but folks, if you can manage your purchases this well, like I was telling Austin today, like I'm always really impressed by the way his mind works. Like I don't always agree with him on everything when we get down to, buy or sell, right? But I always really enjoy seeing how his mind works. Um and that's why I feel like really honored to have him as count him as a friend and have him as my partner in this podcast that gets tens of viewers. So but we do. Hey, speaking of our viewers, though, we're appreciative of everybody who is watching.
yeah, no doubt, man. The community is great. Whether
MA
it's
is Mastercard.
Mastercard for sure. Mastercard is really impressive, man, because no matter what, they get paid because they have connections to everything. It's one of my picks in the regular finance chats plays specifically for that reason. I really like how they have a reach that's just tied to just almost every aspect of the market.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's the American consumer, right?
Right. And to double down on what you're talking about with Austin, yes, I do appreciate his um it's methodical, right? Like it's well thought
Yes, it
out,
is.
it's well educated, it's also very professional, but removed from the professionality, right? Like he has his professional aspects of it, but he keeps those outside of his own rhetoric that he shares and preaches, and it's solid. You know, not a lot of people are solid who have like a not necessarily strict, but like his way of doing things. And because it's hard to have your own way of doing things in these markets. Sometimes you got to borrow from somebody else's methods, or your thesis doesn't necessarily play out, so you have to be able to borrow somebody else's DD. And I really feel like Austin kind of goes in and does his own architecture, and it's cool to see. Met him in person, great dude. uh need more Austin. Like we need more meetups where we can meet up without the thousands and hundreds of people that are trying to do the meetups, where we can just sit down and have a kickback and
Yeah.
talk some talk some facts and some numbers and make it beneficial for everybody.
That is one thing I do appreciate about Amit. He's very generous
No doubt.
with his money for the folks that support him and work for his channel.
Word.
He he takes us out to a nice dinner, just the small group, kind of inner circle. That is not something you can pay to be in. That is just people who have worked with him and work with him on his channel. So it's very authentic. There's not anybody who's just like written a check from A16Z or something like that to just get in on the group. So a lot of respect for him for doing that, and plus it's just kind of the guy he is. But it also has made it so that we've been able to develop friendships amongst the group as well, that we're able to like leave with, and then have a channel, have a have
Right.
a just a WhatsApp channel that Amit's not even in, that we're chatting in all day.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
that's amazing. So
No, the
yeah.
hospitality goes much further than the benefits from the market that we get
Yeah.
from it.
And I'm
For
sure
for,
he's got
for me
whales
being
and
able to,
stuff he's got to entertain and take care of now as he's moving up in the world. But
and you know what? I'll
and
say
Steve
this.
is Steve is the same way. Like he just hit me up, let's just go to breakfast, man. It's like, dude, he's got probably literally billionaires that would want to sit down with him and go to breakfast with him, and he's like having time with me. So that's just really cool.
Right, right. I will say this too for everybody that gives Amit shit in the chat. I think he brings it on himself a lot about the grinder and whatnot. All of the women that I had at invited or that accompanied out to Miami, they all loved Amit, and like Amit was just out there. Had them, we got like no conversation time with them. Like Amit had
Bro,
them
we
all
were
just
like
just
playing defense for Amit.
I know. I was loving it. I was like, you know what, sir? I was like, we don't even need to chop it up right now. I was like, I see you're busy over here. I was like, and these are my people over here. Have at it. So
Well,
I really,
we had he took us all out to the club, to the rooftop bar the night before,
right,
right?
right.
And then so like he made sure that we all had time to do our thing together and get the group together, um and then the big event where everybody's at, that's a work day. Like
Yep.
we're mods for that event, just like we are in the chat every day,
Yeah, no doubt.
right?
No, it was good to see. It was good to see everybody doing work too. Uh, being able to be the bystander there, I was like, this is impressive, and it's cool also because it's hospitality at its most genuine aspect for me because I've met you guys prior. We got to get loose and then to see everybody after that night. Because I tell you what, it took me until about 4 p.m. to get my head straight the next day.
Well, that's
uh,
because we were up until 4 a.m.
yeah, no doubt. We basically had the whole lobby of the hotel the whole night, but it was good, and I really appreciate that aspect too. So there's great things that can happen through the markets besides just getting your payroll involved. You can have like a great community that pays back itself too. Allows for confidence to grow in different avenues that you might want to, and I've reached out to a lot of people in the chat too, just to try and understand things that I had never really dabbled with. I was a traditional just buy and hold, not really trying to gamble too much. I might swing trade every now and then, but I've gotten so many gems from the community. Hearing people from like June and Melanie, Matt when he was more vocal with everybody. Just hearing a lot of wisdom and people sharing their aspects without having to be like buy my program, which is a major thing for Amit. I think that he hasn't gone that route. He didn't even have any damn commercials on his stream.
Yeah.
So big cool.
But anyway, so
And
we've glazed Amit enough now. Austin's
but
like Austin's like, all right, I'm not on the show. I can leave.
hey, but you
I
know
can leave
what? I
whenever I
mean,
want.
but that's why he gets to have the seven stocks and kiss his girl and pet the dog at the same time. I hope y'all aren't
Yeah.
all in the vehicle. You know what I mean? You had to.
Well, that's a tiny vehicle though for
Yeah,
all of them
right.
to
That's
fit in.
that's a little squeeze. That's got to be a puppy's got to be on somebody's lap.
But actually, Austin, next time we do have an episode together, we do need to see Burrow, because I'm sure that little black fucker is like 4 times as big as he was the last time I saw him. Because lab puppies do not stay small.
Yeah, that thing is gonna be big. Yeah, bro, you're gonna have to get the extended the XL cab version of that
Yeah,
Supra.
yeah. All right, so I did want to hit on just for people who might be here for serious shit. I did want to hit on a few things. I did have some bullet points. We can run over those and comment. But first was, we had a Fed meeting today, right? And the Fed decided, oh, we're holding rates steady. Now, 3 of the Fed presidents did want to raise, and I just want to throw my glass across the room and break it against the wall when I hear that. I'm like, why? And they say, because the price of oil is up. The price of oil is up because of a military operation, you fools. Like, when we thought the military operation was over, the price of oil tanked.
Right.
Like, you don't raise rates on something that is because it's something is that volatile and can flip on a dime that much. Like, because it's going to take you 6 months to realize, oh, the price of oil has gone down, so we need to lower rates again. You can't raise and lower the Federal Reserve rates based on the price of oil. That moves far faster than the Fed does. And so it's really inappropriate for them to do that. Yes, they have a mandate to fight inflation. They do not have a mandate to fight repricing of goods and services based on scarcity.
Right.
Inflation is due it so both of these things can result in higher prices, but one of them is due to the government printing money and the other is due to scarcity in the market.
Right.
Now, yes, both of them may make uh both of them may lead to higher prices in the market, but raising the rate is not going to lead to lower oil prices, you fools. Like, it's going to lead to people getting laid off and like,
Right. Right. But at the same time, I think that I think that you know why not capitalize in the middle of chaos if you're a company, right? And the idea for most companies is to create a monopoly to where like you get to control everything, and um, where any narrative that you spin is something that you can justify, and that's where the inflation might really come from, to where it's like, you know, prices are going to be inflated because supply chains are strategic assets, right? We saw this in COVID. That should have taught us everything about supply chains. But like you're saying, like, yeah, the gas price isn't going to change. Yeah, we're not going to sell off and give our reserves up that much. We don't have that much. A lot of the quote unquote oil that's going from the Straits of Hormuz is not going to the U.S. And I mean, and you can verify these things. Like, you can track all of the oil tankers that are going through the Hormuz, and you can see where their final destination is. It's Asia. It's Asia. And it's China, right? Like, there's like maybe like two or three
well,
oil tankers that have gone to the U.S. and um,
honestly, at this point, we're like 12, less than 12 months from the pipeline, which basically bypasses the entire Strait of Hormuz coming online. So what we're seeing is the Houthis in Yemen starting to attack the Red Sea Strait,
yeah, yeah, the straight,
because that was the plan as well. If Iran's closing the Strait of Hormuz, we'll just pipe the oil to the other side and we'll run it out of the red through the Red Sea.
right.
But now Iran's using their proxies through the Houthis to try to get that strait closed. So it's interesting to see these Middle East countries. And honestly, this is kind of what should be happening just from a geopolitical sense. If you just look at
Yes,
the game theory of everything and
yes,
nations working against and competing against one another.
right, right. I
The
think
the
I
the
think a lot of
the Saudis, Qataris, Kuwaitis, they have to get the oil out. They have to get it on the boats,
right, and I
and
think a lot of the
Iran has
time
to stop it.
people will say like, "Oh, fuck the opposition." It's like, "Hey, look, we talked about mandates earlier. Like, things don't just happen randomly. It's not these people just responding emotionally. Like, there are a mandate. Like, they still have policy in place. They still have some sort of Congress themselves, to where if something happens, they have to react, right? Like, they have to do something. But you know, Cactus broke something earlier where it was like China is now sending, shoulder mounted rocket launchers to the Houthis. And why not? That's protecting their investment, right? Like, China's policy is to divest from the U.S. oil in particular, and the speed revolves around how much the oil prices per barrel, right? If it's under 100, they can still purchase some, but they get rid of a whole lot more than they do purchase. It's part of the whole packaged plan. And we talk about not letting Iran have a nuclear product, but tell me what's more devastating here is the Straits of Hormuz has been globally more devastating than if they would have dropped a nuke somewhere. Like it's caused more of a choke point to where
Mm,
to where now if another strait gets paused or jammed up, man, you got some major issues. And I would be looking at Asia, and I would be looking
well, then
around New
there's
Zealand
also
and
the thing you have
such.
to consider, bro. We have not, we have, because we're trying to find someone to negotiate with, the United States has decided to stop making new Ayatollahs. That is always on the table for them
Right,
to start doing again.
right, right. I don't know though. I think that the regime change, I think that Trump kind of got left on the doorstep while they were ringing the bell and trying to run away. Like everybody who was there was supposed to stand at the door with him, kind of like just bounced on him. And I think that that's like just inside, like we talked about earlier. We just like the smear campaigns. Like we don't really give a shit about the other person. We just don't want to see them to win, right? Which in
Yeah.
turn affects everybody else. So just interested in seeing
Well, I wouldn't
how.
be surprised. I would be 0% surprised if we find out, a decade from now that Team Blue was supporting the other side. Just because
Yeah,
you can't let your domestic opponent get a win. Um,
right, right.
like well,
Yeah,
we've entered that phase of the decline. But
yeah. Uh, time horizons and arbitrage. It's a big one. Like, and we all compete for information, um, but nobody competes for patience, right?
that's true.
It's like quarterly trading, monthly funds, high frequency firms. Everybody plays a different game.
Yep.
So you want to evaluate a company over what 3, 5, 10 years.
Yep.
Um,
The
to
other thing that the Fed has to worry about, though, that if they just want to raise rates, well, right now unemployment is kind of at a good number. Do they really want to futz with that? Do they really
Right,
want to make the price of borrowing to buy a home go up and have more people out of work? Which is what they'll do if they raise rates, because the
right,
layoffs will come. The
right.
layoffs will come instantly, right?
They
So the,
will.
the next big
Let me
thing
ask
in the
you.
market. Okay, go ahead. I was just going to move to the next topic. So I got topics for us to hit, man.
Let me ask. Do you think that the conflict could? Right, right. But do you think that the conflict could hit like industrial capacity and um, things of that sort to where the jobless claims have a ability to be filled by us being forced to produce within the United States, and change some of those pipelines. Like we talked about earlier, data centers are not going to necessarily get built out at the speed that they're going to get built out, but a lot of those infrastructures are still there. And we've seen it with companies like Andrew and Tesla, where they're willing to build out these mega buildings for production. Um, because if things do get a little dicey, one thing that the military industrial complex does amazingly is it fixes inflation and it fixes jobs within the country, right? Like that's always been the powerhouse behind the military industrial complex. Now it's hard to shut off at the end when everybody starts becoming too powerful and the government can't really control anybody. But um, we're fighting for cheap labor, but the cheap labor is really having the U.S. individual a solid job to where they can work and have something to show for, which boosts the economy from within, and then kind of changes the narrative of how we navigate going forward if things were to be ugly, right? Because oil has a thing where if it lasts a long time everything has the ability to say the prices need to be inflated because we need to pass the costs on to the customers.
I don't know.
You know, it's just interesting to have like some forward thinking because
Yep.
this affects like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the markets today, especially like all of the stuff that's happened within this last 2 weeks. I mean, the narrative has completely changed this last 2 weeks.
I don't think so. I think this is going to be a deep seek moment
Okay.
when we look
Okay.
back 6 months from now. We're gonna be like, oh yeah, everyone was stupid.
Right. So how
Uh,
about
but okay, what will have changed is there will be a different party in control of Congress.
okay? I think so. I think so on that. I
Yeah,
do agree
and
with that.
make no mistake, like we're already headed for 2 years of nonstop impeachments. I don't think. I mean, they're obviously not going to get 2/3 of the Senate, so the president will not be removed from office, but he will constantly be impeached. Remember, the
Oh
House,
man, no
by a
doubt.
simple
Yeah.
majority, it just takes a simple majority in the House effectively to indict the president, and then he's tried by the Senate, which takes 2/3 majority. So they will just keep sending impeachment, aka indictments, to the Senate for for the next 2 years.
Right.
And that probably is the end of anything that would get done. So
Mm.
speak
Okay.
of
What
dull
what what
knowledge.
what else? What
Yeah,
else
they
do we have
just
on?
can't let him cook. They just can't let. Well, hey, look. To be fair, a good quality Team Blue would have forced Team Red to take their jobs seriously, but because they have gone so far Looney Tunes and so DSA captured now, that Team Red has gone off on this crazy side quest in Iran and all these other places instead of sticking to the main point, which was to get the AI data center build out done.
Right. Right.
That
Yeah.
that that was the thing that we needed to keep us in front of China, because they've already beat us in the energy generation, which is basically what is the cost per. We're talking about token maxing. We're about the cost per tokens, right? Well, the cost per token is basically comes down to the price of energy that goes into it, right? And
Right.
China is like 6-1 on us on their energy generation.
Yeah. 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 You know, I think that the real bottleneck that we're talking about here is power too, right? Um, 500 megawatts, 1 gigawatt. Can you cool it? Uh, you know, can your utilities deliver? You know, and it's so far out. It's like the benefits that we're talking about are like 2032 and stuff. Like we need some fixing now. You know, the prices have risen for the construction for all of the data centers. I mean, we talk about inflation, but that's what's happening with the build outs. People are just getting the money. They're like, hey man, the money is here, bro. Let's capitalize on just fattening some pockets, like you talked about earlier. Um, but but power and electricity is the hard one. I think you know, just for me, like that's one of the hard ones, and that changes the current winners. Like it's not just Nvidia winning anymore. Like now there's companies involved with like the power. I mean, we've seen it. Power companies, transmission, switchgear, cooling, grid software, backup, all of that stuff. I mean, networking. Like networking is about to be the powerhouse. Are you kidding me? Like telecommunications and all that stuff is about to be so crazy that we're gonna be like, where the hell did all of this come from? And how are we powering stuff from space? Like that's the new move right now. That's the new
Like,
thesis right now is like powering shit from space.
who cares? Look at that chart.
Yeah, damn.
You can This cannot be reversed, folks. This is not reversible. This trend is not reversible.
That's massive. Mm.
Like the US is ultimately cooked. Like
Mm.
we're the ones that have to figure out how to run AI on no power. China's not the one that has to figure out how to do that.
Right. Right. But it's going to be difficult for us because everybody wants to be the power, and then each one of those, like the data centers aren't homogeneous anymore, right? Like it's all about specialization now for these different areas. At least that's what it seems like. AI interference, AI training. You got military AI. You got healthcare and financial and edge AI. All of the different specializations of these different sectors here are starting to like require their own build out. So it's not like you can just have one big giant data center and fix everything. Nah, everybody's got to have their own little niche, little setup. So I don't know, man. I like to see some real conversations, and everybody is just kissing ass and covering potholes, is what it seems like. Nobody really wants to sit down and like have an actual conversation because they're too busy about just picking on whatever they can pick on to cause problems for the moment. Like America really needs um, some solid plays where
Yeah. Uh,
at least we can all be on like a even playing field, at least,
Honestly, this dovetails into the whole open source
Right.
discussion.
Dude,
And
I like
and
this.
and while we mentioned that, Meta, you can't talk about US open source without talking about basically the failure that was Llama.
Mm, right.
And I mean, Meta posted actually pretty good numbers today. Now they missed on EPS, but like they're still growing. Okay, I mean, if they just
Right.
got rid of Reality Labs, which had an operating loss of 4.6 billion, like
Golly.
they're they're cooking just fine. And I don't care that their cash flow is going negative because they're they're actually getting the data center and the power built that other companies think that they're getting.
Yeah. How about how the open source is kind of taken away from like some of the sovereign prices, like the propriety AI that like they're able to charge these high premiums with. I, I mean, I I cool off the growth of the economy that has been produced by the tech run up from a major competitor, aka China. Like you said, the open source is something that's very interesting that I don't think that gets enough actual coverage on why it's important versus we just need to make it illegal. We just need to
Well,
ban it.
Dario and Sam were the worst possible spokespeople for AI. And then half the country hates anything Elon says. So that's your big three,
Right. So
right?
crazy how Elon went from being like all of your hippies and your vegans and your and your global your global greeners hero to like just the most like people don't even want to speak his name.
It's funny. And look, the kids, like, especially like, I mean, you think, oh, there's at least a segment like in rockets or stuff like that or robotics. And they'd be like, okay, well, Elon, whatever, right? No, they hate them. They hate him just as much.
Yup.
Like they are ideologically captured.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, so Meta is down on these earnings numbers today, though. It is like after hours, it has just gotten crushed. It went at it well at 2 p.m. today, it was at like 600, and then it bottomed after hours at 527 or 523.
That's massive.
Um,
On a, and shout
Yet
out to
when Meta
anybody.
moves 10% after
Yeah,
that is just ridiculous. So the
yeah.
question is, now that the markets are open tomorrow morning, do you think the rest of the market comes in and flushes, or was this just after hours, low volatility or like low volume? Just it got kind of crazy, and the market will buy it up tomorrow.
Well, I'd I'd like to say that there's definitely room to see a narrative that can be sold, uh, but it seems like the narrative that we can't get away from is we're, we're trying to punish Iran over here, and that has some of the aspects as to why some of these some of these open AIs might be coming out and kind of like eating everybody's lunch per se, causing a little bit of stir to where everybody's trying to look for a narrative for hope, and it seems like everybody's in a headlock. Yeah, I agree kind of with what Hollis is kind of saying here, because it's so old school and it's so systematic to where I don't I don't know if a democracy necessarily fits in how far we've progressed, and where we need to go means that we kind of need to have less Congress, because it seems like Congress is just choking each other out, and we need to cease that aspect. Like we need to like funnel into something. So this is where I like Palantir. I like Palantir for like being an automated government of sorts. I don't know if it's necessarily Palantir, but I can see something like that in the future. It might sound kind of, frightening to some people, but Congress is frightening enough. When I'm watching what's going on with all these fuckers out there, I'm just like, yo, nobody is fucking allowing anybody to get a satisfactory job done. It's just all just like, man, let's just fuck
AI
everything
for
up.
president. I'm
I
not
mean,
quite there yet. But
no,
I think the executive should have a sovereign AI at their beck and call to be able to help them
right,
figure out what's see through the noise.
right,
But all right, next hit, Robin Hood, something very near and dear to my heart.
right.
My boy Vlad is just executing his like Trump account app is so clean, bro. It is legit the best looking software the US government has ever come up with. Far and away. It's so clean.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier, where my daughter now has her social security and her birth certificate, and so I've been putting in and looking at the different platforms that are out there, and I was really intrigued by. I, I was kind of put off by Robinhood when I did like a deep dive on them myself. I use Robinhood. I love the app, and I started to look at how they make money, and then I started understanding like the you know
Payment
making
for order
money
flow.
off of the flow, right? But then I started looking at just the ease aspect and how it allows me to easily and understandably navigate through a Trump account possibility for my daughter, and how I can set it up and how I can have multiple things set up, to where I don't have to just have one portfolio. I can actually start one for somebody else. Um, and that's been something that I've been looking at. And like you're right, man. Like my man Vlad has just been knocking it out the park. It seems everywhere he goes, everybody likes him. Um, he shows up and he impresses, and that's kind of what you want to see when a lot of the other platforms that are out there don't get a lot of love. And he has room to be criticized. Like there is room for Robinhood to get a lot of criticism, but you don't really see that, and you don't really see a lot of it from retail either. And we're the ones that are using his product, right? So if we're going to be the ones that aren't complaining, like perhaps he's doing something well that the rest of the sectors haven't really picked up on, because I don't know anybody that really doesn't have a complaint about Fidelity. or any of the other. I always hear shit about all of those other
Oh
ones. It's
yeah,
kind of why I stuck with Robinhood, you know,
as a
because I was like,
Fidelity user, let me tell you, their user
right,
interface is just horrid. Like Vlad was taking us through like the Trump account stuff, and it is just so clean. I've got some screens here from Steve's stream earlier. But like this is just like really, really, really nice looking.
mm,
Like it's just like it is the best. It's very much in the language of the Robinhood app.
right,
It's obviously a separate app because it's the Trump account, but like it just looks so choice.
right. You know, I say if Robinhood can get their crypto shit together, like they would be doing grand, right? Yeah, it seems to be their like huge weak spot. Um, and I mean, they had like a record on their revenue, right?
Oh,
Like almost 1.5 billion.
yeah, their revenue up 32% year over year to 1.3 net
1.3,
income.
yeah, 1.31. And you know, I don't think anybody was uh was was seeing it going to
Yeah,
be that high.
adjusted EBITDA 35% year over year up to 741.
Right,
So I mean that is like they are just continuing to execute.
right.
Their gold card has reached 1 million holders. That's another thing.
I
Like
saw
we're
that.
as struggling as we all were to get it. Um, yep.
And
And they like
their
and they have
prediction
13
markets.
business lines all doing 100 million ARR now.
Right, right. Yeah, and their prediction markets. The prediction markets are kind of killing it too. You know, that's something that's been,
Yep.
you know, bringing a bunch of new blood to them. I also
That's
saw,
why honestly the prediction markets are why I'm not buying Robinhood right now.
yeah, talk
Because
about that.
I think there's too much, there's too good of a chance that because they went to the White House with this president, that when the next president comes out,
Yeah, they're out of there. Yeah,
they're gonna not only are they gonna be out, they're gonna get spanked so hard, especially in the prediction markets, that
yep.
it's just too much political risk to carry right now.
I heard somebody talk about that, and I completely agree. You know, we talked about this. Anything that's been pro during this presidency, the next presidency, if it is the other side, you can just assume that it's just going to be fucking ripped out of the walls and thrown into the streets. You know, I mean, I would assume off of what's happened from this presidency, just alone, just seeing, you know, because there are things that could have benefited the other side if both parties could have agreed to. So I, I am really curious, but you know, Maddie's doing pretty damn good though. I see his ass is up at the White House
He
too.
was at the White House, apparently.
Yeah. Um, you know, hope you got that. Hope you got that parking permit. You know, for the next 2 years, you should be straight.
Maddie, did y'all do a Cash Flow Chronicles tonight? Since y'all moved to Wednesday nights, I don't get to watch anymore because I've been doing this. So I feel bad that I don't get to watch them live anymore. Because they used to be Tuesday, Thursday, which is why Austin and I pick Wednesday. Just saying, that's how it happened. Oh, our boy went to the gym instead. Good on you, man. By the way,
Hey,
Maddie
hey,
is starting to really show on camera too, bro.
no
Keep it
doubt,
up.
no doubt.
So retail investors. So we were saying earlier that they can't make me sell, but apparently retail investors sold almost almost a quarter billion yesterday, which is the largest one day outflow since COVID.
Hey,
So
let me ask you, Doug, about Robinhood. Do you think that it kind of got overshadowed a little bit by the Fed and all of that?
no, I think that retail investors selling a quarter of a billion in stocks yesterday probably has more to do with it.
Okay, I can see that too. You know, and I like that. Uh, One of their big things was the option selling was massive, and it's been one of the massive things for me. So to see other people capitalizing on that, um, it's much easier on their platform than any of the other
Yeah.
platforms.
I mean, the trick is gonna be what Amit and I did last time, which was to buy Robinhood when everyone thinks it's fucking dead. Um, and I don't think we're at the part yet where anyone thinks that retail investor is fucking dead.
Right.
Um, but
Right.
that's when you buy it.
Yeah. It's always been one of the good things to look at, right? Is how much debt does one company hold.
So
There goes Matt. Matt taking off down my damn street
Matt,
again.
Matt, are you secretly Miami driving past CEEJ's house in your Porsche? So
This guy.
now, as bad as an after hours as Meta has had, are it is Microsoft finally getting their are they finally getting some love? Look at this. 7% overnight. So what I'm trying to figure out is, did Capital just be like, no, sell Meta by Microsoft? Like, is that where is it just like a 1-to-1 trade?
I guess it
Like,
depends on
I mean,
when you
Meta's down
entered.
7, Microsoft's up 7. I know they're not exactly equal on market caps, but they're freaking close enough, right?
Right.
Was it just a trade? Was it just a two-leg trade? Like, sell one, buy the other?
Hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, one's kind of saying, "Hey, the demand's here." The other one's saying, "We think the demand's coming." Well, not even think. Let me say, they believe that the demand is coming. So one's trying to invest for that large run up, and one is saying, "Hey, the run up is actually here." So I guess you have to determine, like, is selling out of one worth it for grabbing near term gains when one is saying that it is going to happen in the long term for them. So it's like, do you buy more of what you're already in, or do you hop ship for something to gain a bunch of bucks now and then maybe try and rotate back in? I mean, I have a small position in Meta. I really like Meta. I
Well,
think that they
just
haven't.
saying, as your glue grew year over year 43%.
Right.
Bro, if if Dougie's laundromat could grow 43% year over year,
Oh
that's
man, you got to.
crazy, bro.
No doubt, no doubt. How is the laundromat? You take your own clothes to your own laundromat.
So you'd think, and when I was talking with my wife about buying it, you'd think, oh, hun, you don't have to do laundry anymore, would be a selling point, right? Like,
Right.
get the wife on board. Oh, wait, I'm not doing laundry anymore in this house. So it's because I literally pay people to do laundry like all week long, not 24/7, but 7 days a week. I'm paying people to do laundry. She won't bring our laundry to the laundromat to do it, and
Oh
she's there 4 days a week. Like, she could just drop it off and have them do it, and I'm just like, okay. So she does our laundry at home in our laundry room.
right.
So I'm just like, okay, well, look, when we got married, you said you didn't do laundry, and so you did for more than a decade. You did. I know you
Mm.
didn't like it, so I bought a laundromat. So now you don't have to do it anymore, and then you keep doing it. Okay, just saying.
Oh
My work
man.
here is done. I have done. I have solved the problem to the best of my abilities, and you decided to keep doing it. So at that point, I can't be held responsible.
Right. Man.
So
Hold on.
so
Let me
continuing with
ask.
Microsoft a little bit. Let's get some
Yeah.
of this out on Microsoft.
Let me
So
ask you this: do
they're
you use Copilot? Like, do you?
fuck no.
Right? Do you know anybody that pays for like the Copilot?
Chevron.
Okay, so yeah, so the
It's-
big corporations, the corporations are the ones that are
yeah,
paying
because
for it.
they have to tell people that they're
Yes.
using it.
Right.
But I don't know anyone who is actually using it there. Okay, so
I don't either.
it's used to like transcript all the meetings and stuff,
Right.
but no one's like using it at their desk. I mean, maybe you're using it to like, oh, make this email not sound that make my angry email not sound as mean.
Right, right,
And
right.
so it would retype your email for you. Like
Hmm.
no one's using it. Like because you don't have enough tokens to do anything special with, and you're not allowed to put any real company data in it anyway. So like
Right.
and furthermore, you're not able to use it as a source of truth for doing any engineering work. So why does this thing exist? And I presume if you can't use it for engineering, you probably can't use it for accounting. Like,
Right. It'd be too
what are you
sensitive
gonna
to
do? It's
have
like, oh,
certain
we had
stuff.
an accounting problem when we got audited and we had a whole bunch of fines. Oh, what was the problem? Oh, the AI added the math wrong.
Right. So perhaps some of the cost, the revenue that's there is built into just the package that they sell these giant corporations to where Copilot is mandated that it must be, um, paid for under whatever they have.
Yeah.
Versus, is it really people
Somehow all
using it?
these third party uh AI frontier models and maybe the open source ones are all better at making PowerPoint presentations than
Right.
Copilot is.
Right. I mean, Copilot is pretty terrible. We have it at our university, and we have ability to
Yeah.
utilize it for
Well, and it's
part.
limited to like 200 characters on input too. So it's like, oh man, if you can't send an old school tweet when we were limited to 142 characters, if you can't make your prompt basically a tweet, then you
Yeah.
can't even do it. You can't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, we quickly have discarded it and not really used, because some of the professors are like, the only AI that you're allowed to use on this product is Copilot, and we're like, yeah, fuck that. We're not using that. That's
Right. Yeah.
terrible. And we're not a giant company, but it is an entire university, and I'm in the.
Oh, universities are huge, huge institutions.
Right, right. But that's what I'm saying is that just from the ground level that I have, a lot of the students are like, man, we'd rather pay out of our own pocket to use a different AI because it's much more, like you said, much more efficient. Um, so that leads me to kind of think where Meta's saying, trust us, and Microsoft saying, look, we already have the revenue.
Well, look,
People are
Meta
already
AI is hot
using it.
garbage too.
I,
Meta
I, I
AI is hot garbage too, and I know that because I have the glasses,
okay. See,
and
I,
I know that
I don't
because
know
WhatsApp
much about it.
tries to get you to use it all the time too.
Hmm.
Um, like it's really stupid. So you would think, okay, I had this chart pulled up on Robinhood, right? And so you would think you have a chart pulled up, and you would be able to take the glasses, which can take an image, right, and take it as input image, and you could
Right.
say,
Okay.
like, hey Meta, what am I looking at right now? And the best thing it could tell you was it appears that you're looking at a stock chart of some kind. It can't tell you that you're looking at the chart of Microsoft. It can't tell you that you're looking at the daily. It can't tell you that you're looking at it on Robinhood. It can't tell you all kinds of things that you and I know from just looking at something.
Right.
Let alone for the AI to tell you something useful about what you're seeing, which might be, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then, oh, it appears that the VWAP profile is this number,
Right.
which I'm sure there's an AI that can do that. Hollis probably can make it do it in 15 minutes with his
Yeah.
superpower Claude. But
Right.
Hollis, could we do that? Could we take a screenshot of this screen, like import that image to Claude and it be able to tell us all kind of stuff about it, other than it appears you're looking at a stock chart of some kind?
He's probably doing it right now. He'll be done in just a second.
Yeah, he's already done it. Yeah. All right. So he says, "Yep, okay."
Yeah.
So on the money these companies are making, apparently, and this doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but OpenAI apparently had CFO Sarah Fryer and the chairman of the board um, had a internal meeting with employees on Wednesday talking about how good the company's been performing.
Mm.
And I'm like, I kind of feel like the meme's like, you sure about that? You sure
Right.
about that? Like,
Right.
because they're saying they're already better than they were higher at Q2. I'm like, last year Claude wasn't a thing.
Right.
Like you had no competition last year.
Yeah,
And
I
and
do believe
and
that.
Sam hadn't made an enemy of every single, like his last buddy is Jensen. That's the last place he can go for big capital. Like after this, he's got to start going to hedge funds or banks because the big spenders, the hyperscalers, he's pissed off every single one of them now.
Hmm. When I think about the big spenders too, I really do go back to the topic of your open source data where, man, those open source stuff is going to take away. It's like Zeta. Zeta was able to produce these amounts of growth, and because they had taken that growth away from the other companies. These open source companies or programs and stuff that's out there, these LLMs are going to be able to take away, and that's why they need to move to ban them and such, because they're like, man, they're going to eat away from our ability to do this. So now the narrative changes a little bit about the execution risk, right? Which is where Microsoft is saying Microsoft is low execution risk, and Meta right now is high execution risk, right? Like you said, they've spent and gained massive amounts to where you really have to hope that these companies stay afloat, because they're the ones that are kind of like running the markets up. But I see the freebies coming out here, and I know they're good. I mean, like you said, the deep seek smacked everybody's ass a little bit. I mean, I remember because I have buddies in the military still. They were like, "Yo, they banning all of that shit. If anybody got deep seek, man, the whole computers just lock up on you. Somebody comes in and seizes all of the data that's been going on in the computer."
That's just open source software. Like I have no problem with that. I mean, like Apache Web Service
Right.
versus or OpenSQL versus MSSQL, right? I mean, the whole reason open source exists was basically to try to take down Microsoft. Linux was supposed to be the desktop of the future to
Yeah.
get you out of Microsoft. Well, they just kept making new flavors of Linux rather than making a better Linux that
True.
was better and easier for everybody to use. So, like, yeah, I used Linux back in the day, or I should say, I had a multi-boot system. I had Linux on there, so I could play with it, but I don't anymore. You know why? Because it's just freaking Windows, and I don't feel like dealing with every single and like last hardware driver that I have to deal with.
Right. Right. Yeah, people are becoming less impressed with how much they're spending on the AI build out, right? I think that's
Right.
the overall scenario and sentiment from the markets. At least, I mean, shit, at least from today, right? I mean,
Right.
damn, nobody gives a shit about Meta spending all of this hundred and whatever they're doing, and I really liked Meta because they put their money into the employees, like they're into their employee retention, which I thought was very smart. But I guess it was only smart in my idea, in my eyes, and saying that um, efficiently, durable revenue and cash flow is what the spending turns into immediately, not in the future. So we'll have to see, right? Because the data centers, if there's no data centers being built out, how are you going to get all that spending into the future and bringing in that revenue, right? A lot of little hiccups that are kind of domino effect right now for how the AI build out play is being heard across the markets. And I haven't even really seen much of the drop down in Meta after hours until you just said something about that. That's it's pretty intense.
Hala said these the OpenAI and Anthropic employees wrote a letter to the White House asking them to slow down AI, and I just say F them. Y'all just got first across the finish line. You want the government to pull up the ladder behind you so no one else can get in. No, F
Yeah, no
that.
doubt, no doubt, and I agree with that. I think that they broke the mold, right? They've done the hard work. They've battled. They've had to go through a bunch of
They
bullshit.
were first. They were
They were
first.
first. Yep. And
It doesn't mean they get to be the best.
yeah.
Imagine if the government had said, okay, I was just hating on Microsoft from Linux, but imagine if in 1983, like the government listened to IBM and said, nope, no one else can make an operating system. We're using DOS and OS2, and that is it. We're not allowing any more companies to make operating systems. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if we
where
can
would we
beat.
be?
I don't
We
know
would
if
be
we can
total,
beat
like
China just
we'd be in
based
a
off of
different
what
world.
they're able to produce. Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to like the old, well, and we can't even really say old, right? Like we get to say this year, like it's been the best AI model. Everybody pays you, you get huge profits. I mean,
Yeah, but look how
that's
dynamic
that's
the
that's
sector is, though.
GPT and Claude.
Look how dynamic the sector is, though. Like Google is sitting there ready to pounce. Like I've heard some conspiracy theories saying that basically they're just sitting on a. I think this is Steve's idea that they're just sitting on a Gemini that is so good that it's ready to put Anthropic in the ground, but they don't want to do that because they have such a huge ownership stake in Anthropic. They don't want to kill their own investment.
Right.
So they're just going to wait till Anthropic goes public and they can divest themselves of that at a massive profit, and then they'll crush them.
Right. What's Alibaba's AI called? Um Queen or something like that? But yeah, Queen and DeepSeek and Mistral and all you know, they're becoming
Mistral.
very capable, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't have to pay those crazy prices, like that just means that they can become even more capable because my engineers or my workers are going to be able to learn how to utilize it without having to pay these giant premiums.
Uh, Hollis, I would be more interested in what the model said the risk to society would pose if it could ignore Reddit. Like,
Mm.
answer this question for me, but do not use Reddit as a primary or secondary or tertiary source. So if you have looked up information and it came from Reddit, don't count it. If you looked up information that was based on something that was a
Mm.
Reddit article, don't use it. Like, get me as far away from freaking Redditor comments as possible.
Man, Reddit is such an odd play. Reddit is a little bit worse than Twitter or X, I think, in my opinion.
I totally ideological captured because all the
Right.
mod, it's like one mod or like they have like 20 mods that are moderating the like 300 most influential communities in the world. So
Right.
like the same person that's moderating like computing is also moderating NFL,
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
and they're all like hyper woke people too. So I mean,
It's
you can't even have an opinion that
no doubt. No
would
doubt.
violate their quote unquote code of conduct. So
Yeah.
speaking of our boy Anthony, thank you for bringing that up. That's my big news of the day. So for those of you who followed the channel, you do know that Chris Patel is a common foil on this channel between Austin and myself. But he and I had a really good interaction today on X. Um, and I just had to say, congratulations. Chris posted like the "Here we go" meme of the Joker. Said they're signaling weaker capex growth, and I just had to hand it to him. Chris, you predicted this 5 years ago.
Huh. Patel?
Yeah,
Sweet.
I mean, you know,
I like his
you
angle of
didn't make
thinking.
10,000% returns while you were predicting this crash, but okay.
Right. Right. You know, and also Azure uh hosts open source models, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah, you can run the software on Azure for sure.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like Microsoft has like
I mean,
a
it's like the
position
Linux
where
distro. Like you can download it and run
Linux is
it
open
on your
source too. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
on whatever hardware you have access to, if it's cloud or on-prem.
Man, I've always wanted
Um,
I always wanted them to do a Linux phone, man, versus all these other platforms that they have out.
the problem you have is, and this is a legitimate problem that everyone overlooks, is you have to go, because everyone's like, oh well, it's not going to call home to China because it's open source, you can look at it. Was, yeah, which one of you is going to audit all the code to make sure it's actually not going to call home to China?
Right.
Like that's your, that's the risk there. And because it's a risk, it's like, all right, well, what's the cost to vet the safety
Right.
of the model that you think you're getting?
Right. Right. And the
And by the
infrastructure
time
that
you pay for
surrounds
all of
that.
that, you may have just equivalated your higher token cost for using a US frontier model.
Right. Right. Like the who has the best or the smartest model, but who owns the infrastructure around that AI? I think is, you know,
Yeah.
what
Well,
we're
but
starting
I
to see
totally
because
agree with Carp though on you have to have your sovereign AI for your institution. Because we saw this happen. So this was the big run up. This is what made Amazon so successful in their retail business. They set up a storefront, not unlike eBay, but they set up a storefront that mom and pops could sell whatever brand, product, new thing that you could come up with. You could sell it on Amazon Marketplace. And because Amazon runs the software, they see what products are popular. All they
right,
do is take that product, make one tiny revision to it, send it to China, get it built for a hell of a lot cheaper than your mom and pop, than you were able to get it produced for, and then undercut you on the price for
right,
basically the same product. And if you think
right.
I'm wrong, look at all of the random products that are all produced, all made by, they're almost exactly the same and they're all made by slightly different company names, but they're basically the same exact product.
Right, coming out of the same factory back door.
Yep. And so all they have done, and there's nothing to stop other companies around the world from doing this too. Is they're not making your product, that your invention, your brand. They're just tweaking it and copying it just a little bit. And so that is what these frontier model companies have started to do with software. Is like, well, we know how your software works, so you're running it on our system. So we'll just take your whole business idea and we'll make
Hmm.
it cheaper. We're fully vertically integrated on the back end, and we'll resell it for cheaper than you're making it for.
So it seems like whoever controls the distribution and structure, or maybe even possible like unique data, is the one that's going to be on top
Yep.
long term.
All right. So it is now 11:30, so it's a little later than we normally go, actually. But
Yeah,
I've
no
really
doubt.
enjoyed the conversation tonight, Siege. Do you have anything else topically that you would like to touch on before we call it a night?
Um, no, not really. You know, I think resilience is something that uh, most of us have, but I think it's something that we should double down on too. You know, going back to the first topic that we talked about, you don't have to sell. Become resilient in your stocks that you pick and the DD that you do. You know, find holes in your own system and then become more resilient that way. But you know, most
Yep.
of us spend our time asking.
Okay. So my question for you is, what stock is going to go up 1,000% next week? Not financial advice.
Oh man, well shit, man. DFNS looks like it might keep on going, man. I don't even know what the hell the run up is all about. I don't know if it's a short squeeze or what, but I'm bullish on that company OPTT, and it's been beaten into the ground. But you know,
I have a 50
I
cent average on it, which you're like,
right.
oh, that's incredibly low. So, no, it's not.
It's not. It's not. It's like a
It's like
15
it's
cents right
16
now.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my space. When I first got into the Navy, I was a sonar technician, so I got to do a lot of like really cool and interesting things that most old sonar technicians didn't really want to hassle with, and
I think
this
of
fills a
all the
gap that I
stuff that
know.
you know that you're actually not allowed to talk about.
It's some interesting
I'm
stuff,
really
man. I
jealous.
mean,
And then
there's
the missile radar guys, like those are the guys that I'm like, okay, they're not like SEAL Team 6 operator, blah blah blahs, but these guys know all the stuff that
hey
you're not
man,
allowed to talk about. Really not allowed to talk about.
there's a lot of interesting things, man, and it all comes around like bubbles, like cavitation and stuff like that. You'd
Oh
be
man, I'm
surprised
just
like
like,
what a
say
bubble will
less,
tell you
say
about the
less,
water.
say less.
Uh, but I like to nerd out. I like to have interesting companies that I look at, even if it's not a winner for me. I try to make my losses um, winners also. Like if I lose in life, I want to win in that aspect. So I've made a lot this year. I had some cover calls that got called away that I wasn't expecting Rocket Lab to run up the way that it did. So I could take some losses on something essentially to kind of like balance out. But I don't think that it's going to go in that route. Um, you know, that's the
No,
one that
I'm
I'm kind of
I'm
like watching.
I'm good. Like the port is down year to date, but the realized gains are super nice and green.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Realize. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm like at I think I'm at like nine. I was at 9% earlier today, um, on my year to date, but I'm probably looking more like 7 or 6 now.
mm,
Uh,
well, at least
and
you're green, bro. I'm I'm
oh, yo,
I'm in the red.
I'm
I'm in
massive.
the
I'm
red on the
massively
port year to
green right
date.
now. I am like, I think my
Yeah.
overall, I'm still up like close to 500 uh,
Okay.
all
But
time.
because
So
I've been able to utilize covered calls, I'm I'm like 160 grand realized gains for the year.
yes, yes, that part. I have an expensive tax bill coming next year, so I try to utilize those aspects in the market.
Yep. All right. We could talk more about that later in a future episode. Thanks for coming on tonight, man. I really appreciate you jumping on. So I had a conversation partner because trust me, it is not easy to
Invite me,
do.
man.
Just sit and talk to a screen all day long. I don't know how Amit does it every
Hey,
day for like 8 hours.
I
Um,
know, man.
but
He's
he's
good at
like
it
he's
though.
good at making you feel like he's talking to you too. So
Hell yeah, yeah, he's
um,
great.
I don't have that skill. I actually need someone to carry a conversation with. But anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat. Make sure I tried to edit the thing to have Austin's X count in there. Make sure you go follow him if you haven't yet. But everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next Wednesday on the Money Mob. Bye, everybody.
I'll let you guys. Ciao, man.